Good.
Testing, testing.
Sing.
No, singing is not in the repertoire. Tucker is the singer, the actor.
You have one joke though. Yeah, what a caterpillar is
If you don't know who that is, he's singing it.
my dad joke today.
Todd, you want to try your mic? Turn it on.
Testing, testing. There it is. Shh. It is Tucker.
Test. 1, 2.
Test, test. 2, 4, 6, 8. Oh no, it went dead again. Yeah, we're gonna, yeah. My mic is dead.
Now, Will, you tell me when. No. We're waiting for another group.
Just to let people know at home there at the right
We
place.
can do that, yeah. And I will,
I can show them.
Can you all hear me? I don't think the mic's on, but we're just gonna wait a few minutes. We're gonna wait a few minutes. It's gonna be a short delay. We've got a group of about 20 Inspirata Pointe depositors who have come to watch the presentation, and they're making their way here from the front lobby. So we're just gonna wait to get started in a few minutes. Eat, drink, and be merry. We're waiting for paying customers.
That's true.
You're one of them too, though. I know. Yes.
Man.
Any questions about what you've seen out there so far? Or anything? All good?
Yes, ma'am. Gotcha. Okay, I happened to notice that over there. I was just trying to figure out where the camera was. It's underneath the clock or that one up on the ceiling? Actually, if you just leave it there now that I know where I'm at, because there's a couple things that I'll probably go up and point to on the screen, just to kind of give some reference. So there's a camera below the clock. It's facing the light. And then the camera up in the ceiling is just facing the move out. They are on.
okay, stand in the middle of the stage and tell them that we've got a delay. We're waiting for some.
Excellent. Still. Testing. Mic 8. Mic 8. Mic 8. Microphone Ocho. Number 8 is it's on, but it's been going in and out. It's full battery. Group 1, channel 1. Mic 8. No, it says channel. There we go. There we go.
Just tell them.
Yeah. Hi, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. We're not going to start quite yet because there's a group of other visitors that would like to come down and join. They're getting signed in right now at the front desk. So if we could all just give them a few minutes to finish their sign-in process and come on down. They're going to be residents of Inspirata Pointe, and they would like to partake in the presentation today. So if we could just hold tight for a little while, and Hopefully we're not goofing up anybody's schedule. If you have to step out, by all means, we understand. We won't take offense to it. People walk out on us all the time. Ooh. Yeah. Good morning, everyone. If you just stepped in, we had an announcement a couple minutes ago. There's a group of 20 or so people that are going to be future residents at Inspirata Pointe. They are down at the front office. They're getting signed in. So it's going to take a few minutes for that whole herd of people to get their badges, these really cute badges, and come on down and visit us. But they'd like us to hold off so they can partake in the beginning and the entire presentation. So as I said earlier, if you guys have to step out because of a time constraint and walk out, we won't take offense to it. We're good with it. So if you've got other engagements today, by all means, keep on with your normal day if we happen to run long. If I don't put this behind you, I'll forget. You're good.
How do you follow Will Smith and Snoop? Fresh Prince.
I don't think.
That's true. Might be a little. I thought the dryer was shrinking his clothes. Turns out it was the refrigerator. So many good ones.
A dog-a-pillar is my favorite.
Big Sky 15 years. I have questions between both of them. What's Yellowstone? Big Sky, Missouri. Oh, we got a condo there. I bought a condo and just built a home. Sold it out of the top.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning, y'all. Welcome. Thanks for the extra visitors that got signed in to come down and watch our presentation. Tucker, do you want to start?
Sure. I'm not sure if I have met everybody, but I'm Tucker Macon. I'm with Sundt Construction, obviously. I'm the project director on this project, and what that means is I've been with the project from its conception. Actually, Gretchen and I probably met for the first time on this maybe 3 years ago now, on what this Inspirata Pointe could look like, and we've been through the process of understanding all the cost and the schedule and running all those different scenarios for the last few years. So that's been very exciting. And as being the project director, I see the project all the way through. So it's kind of like it's from the conception all the way to turning the keys over to our owners. And then build the team around Royal Oaks. Todd and I worked on the Friendship House project many years ago, and so it was the right fit to make sure that Todd got back here to Royal Oaks to continue that relationship. And so that's kind of what I do. I would like the executive over the project, and so if there's any questions I can answer on the business side, I'd be more than happy to do any of that.
Excellent. All right. For those of you that don't know me, my name is Todd Ganter. I'm the senior project superintendent for Sundt. So I'm in charge of all the operations happening inside the fence down there at Inspirata Pointe, and anything that kind of marginally goes outside it, like we are right now in the south cul-de-sac. So this is our monthly presentation to y'all. We're glad we love coming here. This is a lot of fun for us. Sean Bluebaum, who's our senior PM, would normally be here, but he got tired of the heat and took his family on a couple-week vacation. He's up in the Northwest, cooling off. So he said to say hello to everybody and wish he could be here.
Who approved that 2 weeks?
Some project executive was supposed to. He might have gone to somebody that said yes. That's why he left.
I only read the subject on the email. That was the problem. I didn't read the content.
Yeah, the full directions, right? So here's our monthly update. It's our monthly update for 7-7. For those of you that are whiskey drinkers, that's one of my favorite drinks, is 7 and 7. The bar is in the center of the complex there. But this is the campus expansion for Inspirata Pointe. For those of you that haven't seen this image, this is a kind of a rendering from the architect. Royal Oaks Road is in the lower left-hand corner. It's kind of a view to the south-southeast. So again, here's just a drone image of the aerial right now. Well, actually, this is what it looked like probably 3 weeks ago. Our drone flight was the 18th of July. So we're set up on a regular basis. The middle of every month, we fly the job site with a drone, get a bunch of pictures. So unfortunately, we can't afford to fly it every week. But so we do fly at the middle of the month, so this is why you're a little behind the times. You'll see some other pictures that look slightly different than what it looks like in this aerial image, but gives you a good idea of all the elements that we're doing here between the villas on the left-hand side, the garage in the middle, and then Mount Royal Oak, which is the pile of dirt in the lower right-hand corner, which is disappearing. Yay. Means we're doing our job. As we did last month, and we will from now on, here's our agenda. All right, we always open up every meeting with a safety share. Safety is very important to us. It's important for all of our workers to go home to their families safe every day. So we talk about lots of things. We do this every meeting. So we have 2 subcontractor meetings a week, and then we also open up our owners meeting, which we have at 1 o'clock today or 1:30 today. So we take safety highest priority, right? We can't work without people, and if people are hurt, they can't work, right? So then we'll go on to the project overview and update. We'll show some current photos. I'll go through and explain what's going on in some of these. We do have our drone flight in here. Then we have our upcoming work, so I'll tell you about what's happening in the next month between now and the next update, so you guys can be prepared for giving us our QC from behind the fence, giving us quality assurance inspections from your guys' point of view. And then we'll have questions and answers at the end. You know, last time we had them throughout the program. We don't mind. But if we do, there's a large number of people. Plus, we are streaming live today, so the folks at home, welcome. I hope you enjoy the presentation. If you have Gretchen's cell phone number, she said she would be willing to take text messages if you have any questions. So since you're kicked back in the lazy boy, hopefully eating bonbons or coffee with Bailey's in it, feel free to text away to Gretchen and send your information to her, and she'll be glad to relay the question on back. For those of you in the audience, please, there's a couple of microphones that are going to be floating around. If you have a question, raise your hand. A microphone will come out to you so that way the rest can hear it, and those at home can also do the same. So, all right. Our safety share. If you guys haven't noticed, but since last month to this month, it got awful darn hot out there, right? Mm-hmm. So much that Sean went on vacation to cooler weather. So we have a bunch of indices that we watch, right? We take into account not only the temperature, but the relative humidity, right? Because that affects the human body out there and how much you actually sweat. So some of the things that we go over with our crew on a weekly basis is, hey guys, you know, it's hot, right? Drink water, right? Well, drinking water is only part of it, right? Mm-hmm. Drinking electrolytes is the other component to it, and making sure you eat healthy. So if you're not taking care of your body's not going to take care of you, and you're going to get sick in the field. So we watch these indices with the relative humidity and the temperature and how it gets out of control and affects the body, and actually can cause problems to our folks. So what we do is we couple up with some of the buddy system, you know, make sure that our guys are out there sweating. So if you're working with somebody, make sure your buddy's sweating, right? Because that way you know that they're hydrated, right? When they start sweating, they get a little clammy. Uh-oh, you got problems. Time to get them into some shade and get them hydrated, right? Hydration starts 10 hours before your shift does. So don't think you're going to drink a bunch of water on the way to work. Start the night before. So this gentleman in the lower left-hand corner, who's not donning a hard hat now, but he's in the front row, his name's Christian Beshy. He's an intern with us. One of his internally duties, other than duties as assigned, was to put together this presentation. So we can thank Christian with a little round of applause for putting this presentation together. So like anybody that does their own production, like Quentin Tarantino, he's always in his own films, right? Christian wanted to be in his own slideshow, so he got himself in there. He's displaying squenchers, so those are like kind of like Otter Pops, right? So we put them in the freezer, and guys that aren't feeling too healthy, they're full of electrolytes, so they can come into the office and grab one of those, and it cools down their body temperature because it's frozen, right? And it's full of electrolytes. We also go over the definition of heat exhaustion versus heat stroke, show the different signs, right? Heat stroke is way worse than heat exhaustion. We want to catch it in the early stages, right? Because if it gets to the second stage, it's no bueno.
Todd, do we also provide shade and some cooling for the guys out in the field, or how's that work?
We absolutely do. When it spiked to 118 2.5 weeks ago, we went ahead and brought in some of the masons. They're up in the scaffold. They were building one of the stair towers, and they have got zero opportunity for shade because the only thing that's above them is the sun, right? So by about noon, they were getting pretty wilted. So they came into one of our Connexes that it's air conditioned and cooled off a little bit, drank some water, and went back out to work. But we also provide some of the guys with like these towels. You go ahead and you get them wet, especially cold water, drape them around your neck, keep your body temperature cool. And down in the lower right-hand corner, there's little electrolyte packets. Tear them open, pour them in your bottle of water, shake it up, drink them. It's like drinking a Gatorade. So it takes your normal bottled water that we drink all the time and change it to a Gatorade real quick. Then we have electrolyte tablets. Guys that just don't want to put that in their drink, just take a couple tablets and go. But we take this very seriously because it's hot out, right? So that's why unfortunately, we're making noise at 5 a.m. We don't do it to irritate you guys here. We do it just so that we don't hurt our people out there, right? So they can go home safe to their families.
So the intent is to try to get everybody off the job site about 1:30 in this time of day or this time of year. Is that right?
Yeah.
So it gets the hottest part of the day is between 4 and 6.
Yeah.
Or it's called 3 and 6, right? And
correct. Yep. So anyway, that's our safety share. Just want to let you guys know we take a lot of this heat stuff very seriously, right? It affects all ages and all types of people. So wanted to give you guys a little update. I know you guys probably see a lot of stuff in the media about raw goods and materials and price and all that stuff. And so we've been behind the scenes buying lumber. And obviously we're not at the stage where we need all the lumber out here right now, but we've been storing it. And one of the unique opportunities we got to do was go visit a place called PCI Reload. PCI, on the left-hand side there, that image is from the mid-50s. PCI was known as Precision Components, Inc. They were a truss fabricator here that built lots of trusses for wood construction, wood-framed houses. And they since have grown from that 20-some, 30-some acre site to 122 acres that you see on the right-hand side. They have gotten rid of their truss fabrication facility, but they are basically a receiving and shipping like warehouse, if you will. They just bring in goods, store them, and then ship them out. We don't purchase from them. They are just a bonded, licensed warehouse that holds materials. The interesting thing that I wanted to bring to the presentation today was just the mass quantity of material that goes in and out of there. It's unbelievable. Like, I've been doing this a long time, and I don't think I've ever seen anything as well run as this. So on the left-hand side of this image here, you can see there's a rail car. They have a rail spur that comes in. They unload 30 rail cars of material a day. Yeah, right? That's a lot. So each rail car, if you were to take it and break it down as far as semi-loads, is 4 semi-loads of wood. So they bring in 120 semi-loads of wood a day, or product, right? So they also bring in dry Portland cement, and they put those in dry hoppers, which makes part of our concrete products. They also bring in steel and reinforcing, but most of their product that comes in via rail is the cement, Portland cement, and wood. The rest of the facility is designed to the pictures just designed to show you the sheer volume of stuff they have. It is unbelievable, the amount of plywood, OSB.
So this is all their property back here, too?
All back
this is
through
all
there.
stacked wood?
Yep, they've got rail cars through there, the rail lines through there, and then they've got a palm tree. They grow a Mexican blue palm in that center portion on the bottom side there. But it's a really unique facility because 250 semi-loads of material go out of there every day, 5 days a week. It's amazing. Like, I was standing there and there was just truck after truck after truck. So we invited to go there to take an observation of some of our material. So our wood frame contractor has gone ahead and purchased material. He's bought a few rail cars, and we got an opportunity to go out there. This nice little lady in the right-hand picture, her name is Kim, took us out there, and this place is so big, you can't walk it in a day. So we got in golf carts and we drove around, and she had this material sheet, and it told us which aisle and which row had what types of lumber. So we had, stuff that was 20-foot long sticks of lumber. Some plywood was there. It was unbelievable. So we went through and kind of just did a billing verification, if you will, just to make sure the stuff that they told us they bought, they did buy, and it's in town, and it's in our possession, that if we wanted to pull the trigger on it and we need to ship it out, we can do that. So we're not waiting on the supply chain because we have the stuff in town. So anyway, thought that was kind of interesting with some unique facts there. It was just really quite the experience to go through and see, where part of the stuff that you guys don't get to see, and even most of our office doesn't get to see, how some of those products go through the raw goods stages in the hands of before they come out to the job site. So for our update this month, this is a picture from what would be the 4-story, building D in this case, looking to the north. This is before we backfill over the garage. And we'll get into some further pictures, but this is a view to the north, and you can see some of the mountains in the background. Very, very beautiful views there. So far to date, we have brought in 881 concrete trucks of material. Yep. So 10.5 yards apiece. We're looking at like 8,900 yards of concrete we've been placing out here. So fair amount. So that if we poured concrete, it would be how many inches thick, Christian? 4 inches thick. So if we poured a 4-inch thick, which is what your normal sidewalk is, we would cover 4 football fields with what we've placed so far. And unfortunately, it all gets buried. But trust me, it's there. Right?
It's pretty. It's
really pretty. But you'll see when you get a chance to drive down in the garage someday. You'll see most of it from the bottom side.
Kind of a cool story on the right-hand side is you see all this, this stacked wood here. This is all prefabricated walls, and one of the reasons why we chose the wood framer that we chose was that he has a large.
Wrong button.
Sorry, no worries. He has a large facility right here in, I guess it'd be Peoria.
Glendale.
And his whole plan is that he's very much into BIM, which is Building Information Management. So this is our modeling, and so this is a scenario where you can take it, in the computer, you basically can build the entire project on a screen, including the backing for everything from toilet paper holders to handrail to your cabinets, all these things, and then he builds the walls in his shop that's a few miles away, and then he trucks it out here in those stacks and basically just stacks it up like Lincoln logs. And the reason why that's important to us is because in lieu of having contractors or subcontractors being on site in these hot months and doing the work and building walls, these guys are in a warehouse that is with shade, and it's got controlled quality. There's safety measures in place, and they can start a lot earlier because we didn't have a place for them to do the work until only a couple months ago. They started building these walls many months ago, and so it helps also in the field to get the job done very quickly. Kind of a cool thing that is happening in the world of wood framing is doing a lot of this prefabrication work, and we're behind it, and we're doing a couple other projects in a similar fashion.
Yeah, thank you, Tucker. So this is just in time delivery. We call them up and say we need first floor building A2 walls, and they're like, perfect, they'll be out there tomorrow. So that's just that nice. So some other interesting facts: if the concrete on site were poured into a sidewalk, it would stretch over 6 miles long. 6 miles. You guys could ride by that in your golf carts, right? Awesome. All right. So this is the overall campus map. You guys have all seen this before. Inspirata Pointe is on the far left-hand side. We are still holding true to our delivery for the villas, buildings A1 and A2, which is the ones up on the north side here. So we're still holding true to February next year delivery. We're plenty of progress going on. Then we got guys over there framing walls. We got interior mechanical rough-in going on in the A1, roof trusses going on, all sorts of things. And then, again, we're still tracking for November for buildings B, C, and F, which is the food or fun building, which has the bar in it, and the dining facility. And then the last building in red there is the 22nd of March, 2023. That's buildings D and E for the 4-story. So everything's going good there. Here's our monthly drone video taken. You can see we're backfilling around the garage on the north side. This was, again, the June 18th. The villas now have trusses on them. That's A1. This building becomes A2. We have the floor trusses and the floor sheeting on that floor now, and we'll be starting second floor walls next week there. So lots of good operations happening there. We're backfilled around probably 75% of the parking garage right now up to the deck height. So, and here's a good image looking back from the east, looking out west. You can see all those stacks of modular prefabricated walls that Tucker was talking about. We've got some garages built. They're all trussed and sheeted now. So everything's really starting to take really good shape out there. Let's see. Is this a pause button? Nope, just kidding. Well, we got a security camera right there in the middle. Some of you guys may have seen that, wondered what that is. That's a security camera. I guess we didn't practice the pausing bit, did we?
Yeah, we don't have a pause. Well, there you go.
All right. I want to talk about that security camera that was back there a little bit. I don't know if while I'm talking, Tucker can back up and show it to you. But you can see it from Royal Oak Road, and that's for many reasons that it's there. Number one, lumber, if you guys have watched the news lately, it's not cheap, right? Price is coming down, which is good, but it's still a pretty hot commodity. You want to pause it again right there? Yeah. It happens to be in between buildings A1 and A2 right here. But we do it also for security purposes for people breaking and entering the site. So far, we've only had a couple people that have come on site. And one of them was before we had the cameras implemented, and one of them has been since. But the beauty of the camera is it'll pick up any motion detection. So it picks up motion detection. There's some monitors in Salt Lake City that all of a sudden alert pops up on their screen and it says Royal Oaks campus has some moving activity on there. What do? The guy looks at it and goes, oh, it's just a bird, never mind. So we've had something like 1,800 birds that have flown through there and set the alarms off since we've implemented the cameras,
There's
which
a
is really
fun
nice that
fact.
they have somebody there to live look at it, right? Because if it happens to be a person, the first person they call is me. And sometimes it's at 1 o'clock in the morning. Hey, you guys got a concrete pour? Oh yeah, I forgot to call and tell you to deactivate the cameras. So our measures are in place. Since then we did have one break-in. The person, we think it was retaliation. They just broke into a Connex and stole a TV they could have bought down at the pawn shop for $25. But since then we've added an additional camera to more guard the entrance. But we do have lots of security measures going on. So as always, when you guys are out walking around, if you see something that doesn't look right, feel free to call security here at Royal Oaks, and they'll call us if in case our camera doesn't pick it up. But we like the extra eyes. So anyhow, this is we're doing some underground utilities, bringing the water into the buildings. And again, you can see how the walls are taking shape for the living spaces of the second floor. And there's our elevator shaft right there. So when Tucker was talking about the building information modeling, every stick of lumber is in this model. It's unbelievable. They show every piece of backing, horizontal backing. They show every stud that's in there. And then we take that model and we insert all of our mechanical, electrical utilities to make sure everything fits in there. This is A2, the elevator shaft there on the right-hand side in masonry. And we're still framing, at this time, framing walls, getting into buildings, units C and D there. You want to pause there for a second, Tucker? So we've had good progress here in the last 3 weeks. We're out to somewhere about here with the ramp walls. So this is the ramp that comes down into the garage. Building F, which is the fun building, sits over this. The stair and the elevator that go from the garage, which is where back-of-house folks will be for Royal Oaks staff, and admin side will be using those. That'll get the food up and down. So that building F will sit over that. And right now, you'll see some pictures in the future of us waterproofing. But this is prior to deck placement. We placed this deck June 28th. So this was June 28th was our last structural deck pour for the parking garage. So that's pretty much in our rearview mirror, which is nice. And here's another good safety image, Tucker. We got that security line up there.
Yeah, you do.
That
Yeah.
orange fencing there keeps people that don't belong in part of the operations clear. You want to hit pause real quick?
You bet.
We got a question over here. Do we have a microphone? Got a mic.
Testing.
It's not on. Oh, there we go.
Nice.
I'm just curious why you chose to use wood when other materials are available, like block or metal. Is there an advantage to the wood construction?
Well, great question. At the time, this has got to be 2 years ago, we made the decision, we analyzed, and Gretchen was part of that, but we analyzed all different types of material, from light gauge to block to steel with concrete deck, those sorts of things. And at the time, 2 years ago, almost 2.5 years ago now, lumber was the most cost-efficient way to go, and with the understanding that we have these subcontractors that have the technology behind the lumber, it really made a lot of sense at the time. Now, of course, fast forward to 2021, where you've got a lumber index that nobody's ever seen in the history of lumber indexes. It's hard to go backwards and say hindsight 2020. Nobody could have known the situation we would be in, post-COVID and the supply chain and those sorts of things. So we are consistently watching that lumber index, and the procurement of lumber is based on when we need it, meaning we have a very tight schedule, and we know when we need the lumber, and we're very specific about when that procurement happens, and we don't buy lumber unless we absolutely have to. And then, and even now, and I see Carter in the back room, we're constantly watching that index, and even now we're seeing a little bit of the drop in lumber because there's material that is becoming available. And so we're, as it comes down, we're being diligent about the procurement of that material. There are.
Can you repeat the question,
yes,
please?
Yes, thank you for reminding me. Thank you. The question was, are there structural or soundproofing or other scenarios that make wood a little bit more attractive than maybe some of the other materials. And I would say that, structurally, wood is a very sound and proven commodity. There's no issues with that, and it's designed that way. The structure is designed that way. Soundproofing, there are soundproofing things that we're doing to accommodate for soundproofing with some lightweight concrete and some other things. So, a wood building is a wood building. You're still going to get, a rabbit is a rabbit. You're still going to get a rabbit, but we are doing things to accommodate all those, again, structural and soundproofing scenario issues that may arise. Does that answer your question? Okay.
Awesome. Cool. Anything else? Anybody else? All right. Gretchen's feverishly running.
Thank you. I have 3 questions. Where
Okay.
you poured that concrete or up there at the front on the slope, what was the purpose of that? Usually you pour it for a wall that won't.
He's talking about the shotcrete.
Oh, on this. Okay, so that's a great question. So to answer that question, it gets into the soil stabilization. So we had the soil that is here from surface grade of what it was down to about minus 10 feet. It is a Class C soil classification. It doesn't hold real well, so in order to put it safely, to have a safe excavation, we had to put it at a 1.5 to 1 slope. So for every 1 foot vertical, we have to go 1.5 foot horizontal. Now, our attempt to put that shotcrete in there was to take that soil stabilization from a 1.5 to 1 to make it a 1 to 1. That allowed us to continue doing a lot of the work on the top side, give us more real estate for storage, getting building C foundations. Well, it's building C for us. Building D? Yeah,
D,
building
yeah.
D foundations in there. So it was based on bringing a soils engineer out there and allowing us to put that stabilization in
Will
there.
that stay when you start backfilling?
It can. Part of the top of it is a little broke. We'll reach down with an excavator, break it off and pull it out, but it's structurally stable to backfill up against.
My second question is, at the far end where the kitchen is, or that little narrow peninsula comes down, you didn't use concrete across that end wall, you used blocks. What was the reason for that?
Wicked observation.
Great.
Yes. 12-inch CMU block we used at the end there. It's for knockout purposes. So that's Carter's corridor. We call it Carter's corridor. That's where the future tunnel is going to tie on through the balance of campus. So when future phases of Royal Oaks expand, we will be able to go down, excavate in front of that, knock that block out, and then we'll be able to extend the tunnel on.
A fun fact is there is the same CMU panel at Friendship House to someday to create that connection all the way through the campus.
Third question is, I noticed a little tube coming up out of the far side over here. Is that a ventilation or is that something else?
Wow, you were in construction, weren't you? You want a job?
Yes, I was.
You can have my microphone.
If you ask any more questions, you might get hired. Both buildings B, C, and E, D have caissons. And where this caisson was located was so close to the existing, or to the garage wall, that we poured a footing and cast in place column as we came up. So that will pick up the load for part of the building. It's actually where the bridge ties in between buildings B and C.
So a caisson is a concrete column, right?
Yes.
Just to try to explain that. So
Correct.
It's a structural component that you're kind of outside the footprint, so you put a caisson in there, and so that you can create that structural.
So I understand there's 2 feet of dirt going on top plus some concrete. Is there a ventilation system for the garage?
There is some slight ventilation down in there, then mostly some sensors down there for overall air. But
the design was based, so the ventilation is coming through the ramp wall for the most part, and there is some ventilation down there, and it's to make sure that there's constantly air moving, right? With vehicles, you need air moving, and then there's also CO2 monitor down there, and it'll alarm if that's the case, and then fans will kick on if the CO2 monitor is kicked on.
Thank you.
Excellent. All right, great questions. Wonderful. Wow.
Does anybody have any electrical engineering questions? Okay, there we go. I knew we had an electrical engineer. Okay.
My issue was, or question is, one of the things that you always worry about when something is below grade is water intrusion and excavation from the building.
Great question. Great question. I will show you some pictures of what we're doing for the waterproofing. Real quick, from a soil analysis standpoint, once we got below that -8, -9 feet, we got into a lens of material that extends down to river bottom, which I don't know what that is, 40, 50, 60 feet. It's called SGC. It stands for sand, gravel, and cobble mixture. All right, so that's really fine material. It doesn't have any clays that bind up and hold water, so it drains water. It's kind of like going to the beach, right? So if you pour water through a bucket of sand and you had holes in the bottom, the water would drain out the bottom. So that material that we have from that -9 foot lens down to the bottom of the basement excavation is that sand, gravel, cobble mix. We are backfilling up against the wall from the wall of the garage out 5 feet with that SGC. So if any water does come across the horizontal portion of the lid, it would run down the side and into that SGC layer and then down into the river bottom.
Into the water table.
In the water table, thank you. Yes, we also gone ahead and have done, you'll see pictures coming up of vertical waterproofing we've done on the outside. It's a spray applied system, and there's a drain tile that goes in the bottom that ties to a receptor tank and has it's like a mini lift station that picks the water up and sends it to the storm drain system into the storm tank system that's in the southwest corner. The third component that we have is we have a horizontal membrane. If you guys happen to smell like you're at an NHRA drag race when you're out there now, that is it's almost like a roofing tar system. It's a hot applied product that goes on at 350 degrees. It's a rubberized membrane that gets laid out in a multiple layer, 215 mil thickness system to dry in the top side that we go through and do a low voltage electrolysis testing that'll start Friday for the areas that we've done. So we've got lots of waterproofing, lots of QC involved, and when we get to those pictures, I'll get into some greater detail of what that looks like. But great question, thank you. Did that answer?
Yeah, and you didn't touch on getting water out of the building.
So out of the building, if it happens to be inside the garage, we have a drain at the basin of the ramp coming down, and that ties in with a couple of other area drains, and that goes to the storm tank system and up through a lift station and out as well. Go. A couple questions in the back.
Yeah, Todd, in the Friendship House, you had insulation, which was noise abatement between the rooms. Didn't you have that?
Yes,
Okay.
we will
so
have.
What like here in Royal Oaks, some meeting rooms for many people, you have the noise abatement. I mean, you have a lot of noise that it's loud and you have hard time hearing, like in certain areas, the lounge and the dining hall when there's people. I remember way back in the 60s, we had acoustical tile, which absorbs that noise, or it makes it less noisy. Do you have anything that's being used that is up to date now compared to back in '83 when a lot of these facilities were built?
Great question. So in building F, the dining facility, we will have acoustic ceilings. There are some acoustic wall panels there for sound absorbing as well. And there is insulation in the walls to mitigate transference of noise from one room to another. Now, when you get into independent living spaces, those are the wood frame structures. They also have, there's some of the walls, they call them the party walls. They're the demising walls between one residence and another. They have a staggered offset stud situation, and that gets weaved with bad insulation to help mitigate noise between one resident and another. There's also putty packs that go on the back side of the electrical outlets, and those are to help keep some of the noise transference from going from one wall into the box and out into the other space. The question was, so if it's in the common dining room, it'll be an improvement over this. The intent is yes. Yeah, that's what we a lot of these wall systems have been looked at through a acoustician, which is an acoustical engineer. Acousticians go through and give us kind of parameters on how many 1 or 2 layers of sheetrock, and if there's offset studs and the spacing and the width of the studs, along with the type of insulation that go in between. You're welcome.
This concerns the villas.
Yes.
On top of the garages, is there any of that space will be exposed to the people that live up above to have some place to relax and move around on?
No, unless you get really crafty and hop a rail and get really crazy, I wouldn't suggest going out there. No, there'll be guardrails. You'll be able to get some vantage points from that second floor elevation, but it's not designed to be a party deck up there.
It's a
You
roof.
said you had 1.5 garages. How do you have 1.5 garages?
It's like you guys have 1.5 cars. You guys have a golf cart too.
Well, would that be for 16?
No, I'm just kidding. I'm a smart aleck. I apologize. No, but the garage is a little bit wider, so it's designed so you guys can fit your automobile in, and then if folks have a golf cart, they can fit that in there too. So that's why I classify it as a 1.5.
That'd be 16 then.
16 foot wide?
I didn't put a tape on it this morning. I don't remember offhand what it
don't
is.
either.
It's somewhere in that neck of the woods. I think it's probably about a 16.
You know what? This sounds like a good job for our intern. We'll look that up.
So he's over here taking mental notes. Why don't you come by and visit us again? Next time you stop by, we'll have that answer for you. Perfect. All right. Cool.
Oh,
You want to keep trucking on the drone video?
Waterproofing. That's
Oh
what
yeah.
I
Oh
stopped
great.
at.
Here's some waterproofing. So this is one of the systems that we've got. So it's a spray applied. It has a protection plastic, and then a geo grid that goes on the outside. That's a drainage mat, and then it's got a filter fabric up against it. So the black part that you see is the filter fabric. The red portion over here is the adhesives, another plastic layer membrane that's there as well. So there's lots of and there's observations from the manufacturer. Comes out and does some reports and makes sure is also helping us with the quality control side. Excuse me. So here we go. We're backfilling. That's that SGC material 5 feet out from the garage. There's that column that you were picking up on.
Yeah, that case.
Yep. So that gets a set of anchor bolts in the top of it and picks up some connections, and then remote control compaction equipment up against the side of the garage, so we don't superimpose forces with heavy equipment that close to the structure. And that's the lift station. So any water around the perimeter or on the inside drains to that manhole right there. That manhole will have a pump in it, brings it up to like a -4 foot elevation from normal grade. And then once we go through and have this all backfilled, we'll take off from that and run over to the southwest corner to the storm tank system that we put in last month or 2 months ago. So we brought the waterproofing up in lifts. We started from the bottom and came up about 6 feet. Backfilled up about 5, gave the guys a new work surface safety platform to go from, and then they did the next 6 foot lift coming up there. So anyway, you can see we're transitioning into the villas there, and there's the garages. So that kind of completes our little drone footage from 3 weeks ago. So.
I think you got the clicker.
Oh yeah, I do. That's my job today. Nice. All right. So here's some more progress photos. Here's some more later and greater stuff that has happened in the last 3 weeks since we took the drone image. This happens to be an image. If you guys drive by, there's a masonry tower sticking up 4 floors. I climbed up on the scaffold and took that picture. It was fun. It was a nice climb. It was really warm out, but what it does is it shows some of the underground plumbing that's going in Building D. So that's a vantage point looking towards the east. Obviously, Camelback Mountain's way off in the background. But we started the underground operations there. This right-hand picture is pretty much the same area, but down on grade. You can see we're putting in the 6-inch waistline main line there. There's another vantage point from up on that masonry scaffold. We were talking about waterproofing a little while ago. So this is step 1 of the, step 3 of this system here. It's a reinforced membrane cloth that goes on there. So we prime it first. And then we go through and we put down the hot asphalt, the rubberized asphalt. Then we put this white membrane over the top. And then we'll go through and then we'll coat it again. And then we'll put a thicker rubberized system on top that's a rolled good that helps create the 215 mil thickness. So right now...
and Todd, this is all meant to slope, right? Everything slopes so everything comes off?
No,
or how does that work?
The garage is all flat.
Okay.
The garage is all flat. Part of the garage is covered with buildings, so there actually any rainfall that comes is going to hit the roofs, right? Then it's going to hit the roof drains and then off to the system. So there's just very small areas in like courtyards and stuff that has exposure to the area we have area drains there too that'll pick up. So the intent is that this surface won't see much water, but if it does, it will find its way off the edge of the garage and down into the drainage system. Here's the very preliminary steps for the vertical waterproofing of the walls. You can see there's you can see the gray concrete walls there, and then every joint we go through and do a reinforced like trowel applied mastic, and that gets a reinforced fiber mesh that goes over the top of it. We do all that before we go ahead and spray apply with a spray gun fluid applied membrane system. Here's some pictures of the villas. Since we've been last, this is building A2. The drone image didn't have all the walls up on first floor. It does. You can see we've even started some of the floor trusses and some of the sheeting there. And then this is A1. We've already got trusses on that now, and most of that's sheeted. Here is our time-lapse video.
Click one more.
Oh, son of a...
Here. Let's see if we can make it.
There it is. So this is from when we got the camera up and rolling. You guys have access to the camera. You'll see this every month. It'll all look, the first 45 seconds will look the same, because we did the excavation of the garage and then the columns and the walls, and you can see all the slab on grades going, the decks coming across. So kind of makes you dizzy, doesn't it?
Oh, did you see me? I ran across there.
Don't cross your eyes when you look at this image. But yeah, you can see on the right-hand side the villas are coming up. You can see the wood frame structure going on there, and there's the first 6 feet of waterproofing in that side of the garage there. Nice job, thanks, man. All right, more progress photos. Here's some footings of building D. That's the masonry tower now. That's all topped out now. And here's our upcoming work. This is the stuff that's going to happen in the next 4 weeks. I'll just give a quick overview of what's happening. We will be finishing up the framing in the next 4 weeks on A2, finishing up the framing in the next week and a half on A1, getting geared up for roofing installation. We have mechanical, electrical, plumbing installation inside the units right now happening in A1. In the next 4 weeks, they'll transition and start doing some of the rough-in in A2. We will go through and the next 4 weeks, actually I believe it's the 29th of July, is we place this slab on grade here for this portion of the building, and then August 13th we pour the slab on grade for that. In the next 4 weeks we will have the 2/3 of the garage backfilled. We have on top of the waterproofing system we have a 2-inch concrete slab. Unfortunately we have another concrete placement at 2 a.m. Monday morning, but that's that concrete slab that goes on top of that. It's got to cure out for a few days, and then we can start coming back over the top of the garage with our 3'4" lift of dirt there. So you'll start seeing the garage go away. This real estate will start getting real flat coming across there. The garage will be starting to disappear. And then we'll continue backfilling around building F, and then we'll start doing our Caisson drilling, which is the drilled piers that have rebar reinforcing and concrete in them. We'll start those for buildings B, C, and D. We'll start those on the 19th of July, and we will, for those folks that live in the South Cul-de-sac, we apologize for having to come in and disrupt some of the living down here, but and we are doing our best to keep the fencing as tight as we can. We have to come in and tie into the sewer line there, as well as the water line. So that's what we're doing down in that neck of the woods. That'll take us a little while to get the rest of that in. That'll happen over the next month. We'll be glad to get that work done and behind us so that we can get everything closed up and buttoned back up and give you some more real estate to go through and drive around again. So for those of you that are out on your morning walks, I know there's a few of you, be careful. We're in that area. Wave at the construction workers. They like when you guys say hi. Gosh, I think that's probably about it. You'll start seeing some scaffolding happening around the villas, the exterior scaffolding. That's in the beginning steps of us starting the stucco system that goes on the walls. So that work will be happening in the next month.
Start seeing windows.
Yeah, we started field measuring for windows yesterday. They came back and finished up today, so they're going to be probably behind the scenes doing some production. They've got all the stock aluminum links in there. And they'll
stocking drywall.
That'll probably be closer to the 1 month deal. Once we get some more roofing in, we got to get the roofing in before we start loading up the building with goods that can get damaged by the rain. So, but other than that, yeah, I think we're sitting in the 75 range right now. Some other things you'll start seeing, especially from a distance. We'll start coming out of the ground in a week and a half with another stair and elevator shaft here. That will help commence our framing. And then in August, we'll start framing these two buildings, and they're going to kind of stagger back and forth. They're going to, chase each other. First floor of each building, crews will flop from one to the next, and then we'll start with trusses, and then we'll just kind of build ourselves up 4 floors. And then by tail end of August, we'll be framing buildings B and C. So that's kind of the upcoming work in the next month. And again, you can see we've done, this is building D. You can see we started the foundations. We've already gone through and started the foundations over here already, so things are progressing right along. The lovely mock-up, we are arm wrestling the county still. We're getting closer to pinning their knuckles. So we got one last thing we got to get on the grading and drainage taken care of. And then we'll have permit. We'll go back and finish that thing up. That's going to be our unit we go ahead and do all of our water testing on and making sure all the details we're putting in place hold up and work. So we'll be back on that here in the near future. And I think that wraps up what we have kind of designed for you guys to deliver today. But we are absolutely open to any and all and more questions. So we got a couple of folks. So.
Yes, you said that the parking, you'd have a car place and a golf cart place adjacent to each other?
In the villas. In the villas.
Oh, okay.
In the villas.
In the
Down in the parking garage, there are parking stalls that are for vehicles, and then there's areas that are side-by-side golf cart parking only. So they have those chargers all together for that.
Yeah.
Sorry if I was confused.
There's some car chargers in the big garage too, right?
Yes, there are. On the north end of the garage, there is car chargers, yes. Good question.
I believe there's 23.
Yeah.
There is.
Yes,
23 car chargers.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes, indeed. So keep Tesla busy.
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
Is it working?
Yes, sir.
I have a question about the parking garage. From the diagrams that I've seen, the parking spaces don't look real wide. I'm wondering, are these parking spaces for a 40-year-old or a 75-year-old?
Some of us 40-year-olds need some room too. That's a great question. I don't have the width of the parking stalls memorized, but we have an intern that would also love to look into that question.
You know what? If our intern only would have brought his iPad, I'm sure we would have known these things by now.
Yeah. I don't remember if they're 9'6" or they're 10 foot, but we can find out and get back to you.
Are you remembering these, Christian?
They have this cute feature on phones called Notes. You can put them in there too if you need to. Awesome. Yes, ma'am.
My question is about the roof. What will the roof look like? Is it tile? Will
No.
it blend in with our old original section where we are now?
So the roof system is a polyisocyanurate insulation, and it tapers to a drain, and then there is a TPO roofing membrane that goes over the top
So
of it.
you won't see
It
the
is-
roof on the 3 and 4 stories.
Correct.
And then the villas.
The only thing on the villas you'll see is if you live in the villas and you live on the second floor, you'll see a little bit of the roofs of the garages from the second floor.
Which is a flat roof, right?
Yeah, all the roofs here are flat.
Yeah.
So they have a rubber membrane on top of them. I don't remember if the membrane is white or tan, but it's Arizona, so I know it'll turn tan eventually. So, you're welcome.
Any other questions?
Did you get any texts yet, Gretchen?
No, none.
Oh, gosh.
If anybody wants to text, my cell phone number at home is 623-570-0475. One more time. Grab your pen. Grab some paper.
You getting this, Christian?
623-570-0475.
I have a question. Is there charging in the garages for the villas?
Yes, there is. Actually, I was just out there this morning laying out some of the electrical with electricians. So yes, there's charging, car charging, and golf cart charging in the villas. Yes. Stumped me, but I know where to look. I could go research the electrical drawing and find out, but we can get back to you.
Yeah,
intern. On task. Aren't you glad you came today? Good stuff. In the back row. In and out. Okay, so.
Could you repeat the question, please?
The question was, what is our time frame for doing the roads? So the north cul-de-sac ties into phase 1, right? So phase 1, our delivery date to you guys for moving into the villas is the 18th of February next year. So starting this fall, we'll go through and start doing the hardscape and regrading, because we have to go through and actually do a bunch more demo in the cul-de-sacs, in both cul-de-sacs, but specifically the north one first. We'll have to do more demo in there and a bunch of concrete work. We will start that work this fall. So, but that work does have to be completed and opened up for the fire trucks to come through for the 18th of February.
All right.
Does that answer your question, sir? Yes, it does. Good deal. Anybody else? Good group of questions. Oh, yes, sir. Oh, I don't want to get too close to you.
So with all this going on, I'm assuming there's some cost overruns that were not planned for, and I was curious how that is all going to be reconciled or whatever.
Well, so Carter left the room. I mean, I don't know if you noticed, he walked out just right as you said that. We were diligent when we put what we call guaranteed maximum price together to create allowances for material cost overruns. And we are using those allowances as needed and then tracking others as they come.
And we also implemented a special lumber contingency amount.
Yes, exactly. Again, that we're tracking on almost a weekly basis. We have a pretty complicated spreadsheet that talks every week when we check the lumber index about what our forecasting is, and again, going back to the timing of procurement and when we believe, and it's kind of like playing the market, right? It fluctuates. It's a very volatile commodity, and we strike when the iron's hot. We got one right here.
You told us about the security you have for material. I'm curious about the security that will be as the project is finished. Will there be a wall around the area with appropriate security as we have it now?
Yes, similar to what you have now, yes.
Is that 4 foot or 8 foot?
Do you remember what the wall height is?
Halfway in between, it's 6, I believe.
So the question was, what is the height of the wall of the perimeter of the property? And I believe it's 6.
Correct, yeah. We've got back behind where the Bob Brown building is, where we reside as our office, and where the mock-up is. We're doing some mock-ups of some different colors of block, some CMU. Most of the perimeter is going to be a stucco, but as we do that mock-up together, we'll get geared up and ready to start the site perimeter work. So one of the things that I'd like to do personally is start getting the site a little safer from just the chain link fence, because people can cut those things super easy. So we do plan on starting that site fence, the 6-foot fence, in about the September timeframe, just to help give us more security. We just got to get, there's a fair amount of congestion that happens with the vertical stucco system on the outsides. We got to be able to get forklifts around, and I'd much rather back into a fence that is chain link than a fence that's permanent. No, but we have space, but we're just trying to buy ourselves as much room as we can.
Along Royal Oaks, will that be continuation of the current wall, or will it be the 6-foot wall?
6.
So Ralph's question was, the wall along Royal Oak Road is a 6-foot wall, and that is true, but it is not a 6-foot CMU wall. It is not a 6-foot block wall. It is 3 feet with 3 feet of view fencing on top of it.
On Royal Oaks.
So it doesn't just look like a block wall. It's got some really nice horizontal view fencing for the top 3 feet of it.
Yes, thank you, Rich.
It will be different from the current wall.
It will.
Yes, it will be different from the current wall.
Thank you, Gretchen.
Anything else? Any other questions?
Did we bore you guys to death today? No? Good. All right.
Well,
if there's anything else you want to see or understand or have in our presentation for next month, let us know. Yes, sir. Sure. Hang on. There's a microphone that's hustling up to you. We can't hear that.
Test, test. We can repeat the question too, sir.
Yeah. What kind of material is going to be on the roofs? Is that?
The reason I ask this is that our unit happens to, our view from the third floor on the B building happens to be a lot of the roof over the restaurants and such. Now, we've seen some pictures of where it appears like most of that stuff is hidden. Is that factual?
Yes, it is factual. There's screen walls. There's that tie in that cover the mechanical units back on top of the F building there. So there are screen walls to protect most of that mechanical unsightly equipment. I get it. Yes.
Just trying to give you, that's kind of what, that's what the roof, when we talk about a flat roof, that's what the roof will look like. And then on building F for fun, you can see the screen walls around the mechanical equipment, so that in intent to.
Tucker's not tall enough, but
Yes,
I'll reach out
thank
and point
you.
out. So we've got mechanical screen enclosures around those units. There's a couple pieces of equipment that aren't quite fully shown on that, but there are plenty of screen walls that, I was actually looking at the structural drawings recently, and there's lots of screen walls up there that hide stuff.
Todd, we have a question from home.
Oh, awesome. Yay.
Our first question from home is, will the electronic fence that we have in the front of Royal Oaks, right behind the 3-foot wall, will that extend over in front of Inspirata Point?
I know the exact fence you're talking about because we had to remove some of it to take down the garden homes. I don't have an answer to that question right now to find out if we're extending that fence, but Christian will be glad to put that on the list.
Christian will have that for us next month. I feel like you're not taking notes, Christian. Okay.
Oh, I told
It's
him.
kind of like the waiter that doesn't write down what you like are ordering. You're like, I didn't get it.
Oh, yeah. Excellent. Yeah, so what we can do is we can take all these questions that you guys have come up with, and we'll go through and do our research, respond to them, email them to Gretchen, then if Gretchen does a mass emailing or if they throw it up as part of the revolving thing on the camera or what have you, we can get it out to you guys so we can answer your questions far sooner than next month, because I will sleep a few times between now and next month and forget. So we'll get back to you
That
guys
is a good
much-
point, though, is that if there is something that you'd like to hear about in our monthly updates, please let us know through Gretchen, and we could certainly make that as part of the presentation.
The persistent delivery guy here.
Sorry.
I love that. Awesome. All right.
Thank you,
Thank you very
everybody.
much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah. Todd's.
No, actually, it's a liquid line that comes out of the hose. We just haven't put it in yet. Yeah, it's like flowable. It almost looks like a milkshake when it comes out. So that'll be, that creates several things. It creates a lot of noise transition.
Sure, unless the scope changes. Now, if you make a change, then we would have to pay extra for it.
So it sounds
The price is just.
thermal insulation. It's a fire. It's a bunch of fire properties also.
Except for we have this lumber. I didn't even know there was a clock up there, Bob.
We start some of our electric concrete operations.
Where the clock went.
End of August.
I could ask Nada. I'll ask Nada. She might
From
know.
Chicago?
She might have taken it.
Whereabouts? Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's still got his computer. You want me to unplug it?
Yeah.
I think it's just